Keep the ball, man. Score.
Just that simple.
Absolutely, brother.
I guess, Brad, if you want to just a quick explanation of how camp's gone so far in the exhibition game last weekend, and then we'll open up for you guys' questions.
Well, excited to be a new season. We off to a pretty good start. Played very well defensively in the exhibition against Anderson. Really pleased with our defensive discipline. I thought our guys really locked in, especially when we got the lead, and really didn't give much ground. But we had good spurts offensively, especially the last 15 minutes of the the first half, and a little bit at the end of the second half. We were slow, certainly coming out of halftime when we had the lead. Didn't respond very well to playing with a lead, but all in all, pretty good scrimmage. I'm pleased with our group. Our guys have worked hard this off season, and we don't have, a player of KJ's caliber on our team probably this year, but I do think we have good depth, and we can play with a bunch of different guys in some different positions, and we do need to stay a little bit healthy in the front court. We're a little bit thinner in the front court, don't have quite as much depth there as the perimeter, but I like our team. I think we're hopefully going to shoot the ball a little bit better this year from the perimeter. I think that'll be a key to our success. And defensively, we need to play like we did last year. I think we need to be pesky. We probably need to knock a few more balls loose and be a little more aggressive at times defensively. But all in all, just excited to get started. It's been a long fall, and I think our guys are ready to start to play some other people. Questions?
How important are these is the early part of the season for your younger guys, just to sort of get them into the grind of college basketball and get them used to sort of the pace of the game, the physicality of the game?
Every game's important because they're all worth one. But certainly I think in some of these earlier games you want to get some of your young guys some minutes and give them opportunity. At the same time, I think you're still just trying to figure your team out, to be honest. Every year, this is the fifth year in a row where I've lost my leading scorer, and we're kind of trying to figure out exactly who's going to be our primary go-to guy. And in situations, I think it'll probably change this year. I think certain games might be Noko, and other games it might be a guy like Roper. It might be DeMarcus. It could be Rod Hall could take over at times. So I do think we have maybe a few more options, but there are also times I think you appreciate the fact when you have a guy who you can just kind of throw the ball to and make a play, and KJ certainly was that for us last year. So that's one of our challenges. And early in the year as a coach, you're kind of still trying to go through those processes of learning about your team, who plays well with whom, and what guys feel comfortable making plays late in games. There have been some guys that have, and there's some guys on our team that have probably been out there but maybe haven't been asked to do as much as they'll be asked this year.
How'd the 30-second experiment?
It was fine. I don't think there was couldn't tell a big difference. I'm on record I'm fine with them moving it to 30 seconds. I don't have any problem with that. I think that could be good for the game a little bit faster, but I really don't want to see it go to 24. I think that's too quick. I think if we're not careful, the NBA game is different than the college game. It's longer. There are more fouls. There are defensive rules that help the offense in isolation situations. Guys rarely play zone in the NBA. And so I think if you're not careful and you go to 24 seconds, you might see the basketball might not be as good sometimes. If you're not careful, you can also give advantages to the defense. They only have to guard hard for less time. And if guys aren't as skilled and aren't able to create on their own as often, and there's not as much space, then all of a sudden you're going to see a bunch of bad shots. And maybe more than that, I think you'll see less different styles of play be effective. And I'm not for that. I think one of the things that's good about our game is there are more different styles of play. You can turn on TV at night and watch a bunch of different styles of play. And in the NBA, it's not that way. There's one or two, three styles of play, and most people play the same way. And so I really don't want the game to just become a quick ball screen and a shot. And so I think we have to be careful with that. I think the faster you make the clock or the faster you make the game, that's what it's going to become.
You think passing this season can be substantially better?
I do. I do think, we have some guys that pass the ball a little bit better, or a little more experienced, and probably will be a little more comfortable to do some of those things. Dante Grantham, a good freshman player for us, is a very good passer. And so I think, he's going to help facilitate our offense that way, and the ball will move. I do think we'll run a little more motion offense this year. We ran a little bit of motion last year, but I'm hoping to run a little bit more this year than maybe in the last 2 years. Last 2 years, I think we've had to isolate more for Devin Booker and KJ. Those guys were probably better in isolation situations, and so we geared our offense towards them. Now I think we're with this kind of lineup and this group, and with a little added passing, I think we can move the ball a little bit better and hopefully continue to maintain some flow in our offense through motion.
Is Grantham I think he started in the exhibition game.
He did.
Is he locked in one of your starting spots?
Well, he's got a chance. If he practices well this week, he will. He's a talented young guy. He again, I think the offense is good with him out there because of his passing ability, and he certainly can make a shot. And his added size at 6'8", I think helps in terms of just, that's one of the things that we're going to lose with KJ that I think isn't maybe the primary factor, or wouldn't be the thing that you look at first, but just his rebounding, his strength. I think KJ was a lot tougher than people probably realized, or became a tougher player with the longer he was here, and really was physical. And certainly his block shots were a factor. And, JB's a little bit smaller at the 4 in a lot of games in our league. And so to have a little more size at the 3, I think really helps offset that.
You were able maybe last year, the first part of the season, to maybe sneak up on some teams.
Yeah.
Not a lot of hype around this team this year, but within the conference, probably not going to sneak up on too many people, would you think?
Probably not. I would think that there's a little more respect for our program and what we're doing after last year. Certainly very pleased with the way our team played last season. We were probably a game for making the NCAA tournament. But certainly the run in the NIT was special in a lot of ways. It was great to see the crowd come out and support our team. I think they really rallied around a group of guys that got the most out of their ability and played very well together, and overachieved in the minds of most. This year's team, I think, is more of the same from the standpoint. I think there's a lot of questions with our team in terms of, still how are we going to score, who's going to be the guy that helps us win games late, how good can they be. There's still some questions, although we do have, more experience back with Rod and DeMarcus and Landry and JB, 4 guys that were primary starters. It's just their evolution, I think, is what people need to see, including myself, of how much those guys have improved and what they're ready to do. And so I still think it's an exciting time as a coach this time of year, because you're really anxious to see how guys perform. And you've watched them work and put in the time, and now you want to see them, perform together well. And I'm anxious to see that here for the first month of the season, to see how we do.
DeMarcus admitted that sometimes the mechanics of his shot would get off a little bit last season. Are you seeing a more consistent mechanics?
Well, I think DeMarcus, that's the area of his play that needs to be better. He's not the most consistent player all the time. He had a great run at the end. I think he scored double figures in maybe 9 of his last 12 games, and was a very good player for us. But he goes through times where he is not as effective, i.e. the exhibition game. Now, he was coming off a sprained ankle and really didn't practice as much leading up to that. But I think he and I have talked, and he has a great challenge this year of being consistent. And if he doesn't play as consistent, he won't play as much. We'll play other guys, the Austin Ojukwas, the Jordan Ropers. Those guys will take some of his minutes. And, it's a good thing to have other options. You would hope, though, that your senior guards, really respond and get off to really good starts. I think it is a little bit important. I think DeMarcus needs to play well here in the first month. He's not going to play well every game, but he needs to show flashes early that he's back to the guy we saw the last 10, 12 games of the year, because he is experienced. He is a very good defender. He has good length for his position, so he does have some built-in advantages and experience and defensive know-how and want to that get him a lot of time. He's just got to be more consistent offensively as a scorer and passer.
Do you think Rod gets the respect around the league for a guy that has played as much as he has and going to his senior year?
I think he probably gets a lot of respect from other coaches in our league. I've had multiple coaches talk to me about him, kind of off to the side, whether you're at a recruiting event or before a game, or about how much they respect his play and how competitive he is, how tough he is, tough-minded, and then how he just accepts his role and thrives in his role. And I think, and I've had multiple guys say they want to get a guy just like him, looking for a guy just like him. And, I think Rod's the type of guy that fans maybe sometimes don't see all the things he does. He and I were both criticized when he was a freshman and sophomore for playing as much as he did by a lot of our fans in some ways, just from the standpoint of they didn't see him being able to do any more. They just, I think they thought he was a serviceable backup that would never be good enough to be a starter, and you couldn't win with him. And obviously last year he proved a lot of that wrong because of the way he played. But there's more things that he does in a game than stats. He did a really good job on the point guard at Anderson. Kid made a couple tough shots early, and then I challenged him in a timeout. And then for the rest of the next 30 minutes, you didn't hear from the kid. And it's like nobody paid attention to that. But if that kid got hot, the game would have been a little different. And he does that on a number of instances. He could have taken 10 or 12 threes in the game against Anderson. He's just not wired that way to do all that. He's a guy who wants to get other guys involved. He wants to be a team guy. He's such a good passer and facilitator of the offense that he makes guys better. He might not always make the assist, but he's a lot of times making the pitch ahead pass in transition that leads to a score or leads to the pass that leads to the assist. There are just a lot of things that he does that probably aren't noticed as much by fans, but when you're the coach of another team and you're watching film and you just, golly, that guy makes a lot of winning plays. And, certainly I appreciate his effort and the way he approaches his job.
You mentioned several guys that could step up as kind of the guy offensively. Is that okay with you, or would you rather see one guy be the main threat?
Oh, I think, in all honesty, most coaches would readily admit they'd rather have a guy. You'd rather have a guy that, the whole team kind of relies on, and everybody knows this is the guy that's, he's either going to make a shot or he's going to make a play for somebody else. Having said that, there are advantages to having multiple players that can make plays. And, we'll see if our guys respond to that. We hope that we have multiple guys that have enough experience that they're willing to do that at the end of games. And, in the last 5 minutes of a game, do we have multiple guys that'll step up and make a big shot? And, again, I would tell you, though, that most coaches would rather have a guy and get the ball to that guy, figure out a way to trust him to get it in a position to do something, whether it's score or draw a foul. Or, KJ was good that way and improved a lot. I talked to him a ton last year about he's got to get fouled because he became a very good free throw shooter. We knew through the summer his work and some things we'd done with his shot that he was going to be a good free throw shooter. And I told him that's the only way you're going to average 15 points or more is to get to the free throw line. And he started getting fouls, and we could get him to spots and he could either score or he could get fouled. And I think his free throw shooting, last year, and his ability to make free throws and shoot a high percentage, really, really helped our team a lot.
Great thoughts about how he's doing so far.
Oh, really proud of him. Happy for him because I know how hard he's worked these last couple years to get there. And you know what? It's good to see. He's learning the NBA game. He's got to learn the style. He certainly has a few things that he needs to work on, and I'm hopeful that they're working with him, in individual skill work like we do to get him where he needs to be, because you see some of the natural instincts he has to block shots. I mean, the fact that he's still blocking 3 shots, he had 4 the other day, like that's an NBA game where you got a 6'6" wing blocking 4 shots. Like, that's remarkable. It shows his timing. It's the same thing I used to joke with you guys about, like, we have nothing to do with any of it. Like, it's just a guy with great instincts, great athleticism, great timing, who's just making plays on his own. And that's part of the reason why he was drafted where he was, with the hope that his skill level will continue to take the big jump that it's taken the last 2 years. And if it can take another jump or 2, then he has a chance to be a really good pro. But I'm excited for him to see him get opportunities. It's a tough situation. It's going to be a long year. Their team is going to struggle. But at the same time, I'm sure it's exciting for him to just be, in the battle. And he is getting opportunity to play. And I do think he can get better by playing and learning the NBA game by being out there. So we're really happy for him and proud of him. And Trevor Booker's doing well too. It's good to see Trevor playing really well in Utah. He's, that's been a good move for him. And, he's a guy that I think does a lot of things that go unnoticed in some ways too. He's a guy that is an energy player and an improved shooter. And, he's had a nice start. So we got 2 Clemson guys both doing very well this year in the NBA.
Looks like Washington game has really benefited from having a full off season.
He has. He's, this is the first year that Jerron has been healthy both the spring and the summer. He broke the leg after his senior year and then had the second surgery at the end of his freshman year. And so he's really benefited. He probably shot more than any guy on our team in the summer. He probably got more shots up on his own than any guy in our program. And certainly he and I talked about that this offseason, that he's got to become a more consistent three-point shooter to stretch defenses, to help our offense. When he made threes against Duke, on the road at Florida State, we were a different team because it gave us an added score that we desperately needed in big games. I let him shoot. I think he was 10 for 50 from 3, which is quite a bit of threes for a guy that's only 20% shooter. But I knew that he's better than that. And he will be better than that, and he needs to be better than that for his future, for our future as a program. He needs to become a better shooter. Now, he's not ready to start making 40% of his threes or anything like that, but we need him to get up into the 30s, and that weapon needs to be there for us. He needs to shoot, more than that, and he needs to make more so that'll open some other things up. He's also beginning to drive the ball a little bit better. He stayed healthy, which has been huge. Again, I do think that's a little place of concern. Our big guys need to stay healthy this year. We're probably a man down there, and just in terms of overall depth. So we need to keep guys healthy. But he's had a very good start. He's got a good level of confidence about him, and he's continuing to rebound the ball well. He had 13 rebounds the other day against Anderson. We need to see those numbers continue to improve as well. Very excited for him.
Brad, in this day and age of social media and everything and 6-second highlights and stuff, how big is it for you, for KJ and for Trevor, to continue to do what they've done so far in the first couple of weeks, just to help you as a program, help you with recruiting?
Right, it does help. There's no doubt that having guys playing at the next level increases your visibility and gives you even more credibility as a program. That guys can achieve their dream of playing at the next level. In basketball, it's probably a little bit more difficult even than football, because there's just so few spots. There just aren't that many spots in the NBA. And so for those guys to get opportunities, make rosters, to do well, to be out on the court playing well and to have an occasional highlight that we can use to send to recruits and to, give us a point of reference to talk to recruits about certainly helps. It helps a lot.
With the ACC slate that you have, and
Yeah.
then you look at like Rutgers